we have an old turntable we pulled out of storage. We hooked it up to Serato and the S9 over here. But the main problem is, and I want to show you what happens here. So when we hook it up, just give you the idea. Hook it up. That is actually what happens when it plays. It actually moves backwards a little bit, not moving forwards. Where's the other side when you play it? That actually moves, okay? The other side's working, but this side is not. Now I did click over to see the phono track, and we are getting the tone, but we're only getting it through one channel. So what that means is this turntable is going to have to be taken apart. And just to show you, I flip it back. One, it's not working. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take this guy apart. Alright, stage one. I have flipped it over, and I've kind of, you can see, put a little bit catty corner on the case so that it will still be balanced but not hurt the tone arm. And then we're going to proceed in removing these screws. Actually, there are 4 feet. 1, 2, 3, 4. The feet should be twisted off and removed first. If you take a good look underneath the feet, there's a mounting screw. So there's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now they need to be removed. Also, you'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 mounting screws that are around the edge. And then this circular platter, there has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's actually missing there. And then 4 in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of these have to be removed. That is the next step. So we're going to remove the screws, and I'll show you what it looks like. Now that all the screws have been removed, we can take the plastic part and separate it, this black plastic piece, from the turntable. You have to get all 4 corners. It's quite heavy. And then lift it off. So now it comes off. Then you're going to feed the wires through, and once you feed the wires through, you can take this off and remove it. Next thing is we want to take this guy right here. There should be 2 screws, so I'm going to take both these screws off, and then there should be 2 mounting screws here. Surprise, surprise, there's only 1. So I'm going to take that off and remove it and show you. Now with the screws off, this piece will fire up and come right out. Take this piece off first, and as you can see right on the bottom there, stick a screwdriver right in that hole and pry that bottom piece off. And I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. So here's the screwdriver, and really you want to pry it in there and pry that bottom piece off. Here's the screwdriver that I'm going to use. Now the piece is separated, and you can see what it looks like as it comes apart. Alright. Put the pieces apart, and then you can go inside. Here are the wires. As you can see, there's a red one right here. That's the red one. And then that what I would call the ground one. So if that would be the hot wire, there is the ground. And on the other side here It corresponds with the black wire, and then there is the ground there. Okay, so the black wire and there is the ground. So that's what you're going to have to separate from your new cord, which is the wire that's actually wrapped, or what I call the hot wire, and then the wire that is wrapping around the hot wire, which I also call the ground. So right now we'll call the wire that's wrapped right there, the red one, the hot wire, and the one that's not, that wraps around the red, the ground. Same thing on the other side. The black wire will be the hot wire, and what wraps around the black is the ground. Alright, we fired up our soldering gun. The first thing we need to do is, and I'm going to point with the tip, first of all, the red is connected here, and then the ground is connected here. So I'm going to loosen the ground first, the solder for that, and pull each one off at a time. So we rest our tip on there, and then this should pull free, as it did. The first one, and now we're going to go for the red. Let's heat it up a little bit. A very fine tip solder, soldering gun, and it lifts right off, as you can see. And there are our two spots. So the first one being the ground, the second one being the hot, which is very important. You need to remember that. Now, before we remove the other one, here's the new wire that we have prepared. It's we've taken off the rubber or the plastic on both and have it prepared and twisted. So before I remove the other wire, I'm going to put the red one back and I'm going to solder it. And I'm going to show you how it's done real quick. the rubber seal back on the bottom of the turntable. Don't affix the screws and flip it over so that we can now test it once all of the soldered connections are made. I barely took a standard RCA cable, plugged it into the mixer, and let's see, in the first test, there's my red, that's the right channel, and there's my left. So both channels seem to work. Now we're going to test it with Serato DJ. Alright, we flipped it over. We've attached, once again, the black, I guess you'd call it plastic / rubber protective case on the bottom. Flipped it over. I didn't put any of the screws on because we need to test it out. Hooked it all up the Serato. We did test the tone on both the left and right sides, and it was coming out because I unplugged the black and the red RCA to hear each side and hear the actual tone under the phono setting on the S9. Now I've switched it back to the Serato DJ, and actually it works, as you can see. So no longer is it stalled. So it looks like our fix has worked. Time to put all the screws back and put it back in the mix. Take care.